And hello, everybody. This is Napa Fan here, aka Alexander Graham, here on the Flatout Racing Network for tonight's event in the Talladega Challenge for Rolling Thunder Gaming. We are here at the Talladega Super Speedway once again for this series, as this series races at Talladega every week. And I'm Joe alongside Joe Rutkowski, and it's going to be an interesting race here tonight. We have ourselves a very large field here in this one. So with all those drivers in the race, with it being Talladega, how do you think this race is going to play out here for the seventh race of the season?
It's going to be different than anything I'm used to. I've never seen a full field like this ever in any online race I've ever commentated. It's going to be different, it's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and I can't wait to get it going for 66 laps here.
It'll be a good one. Grant Wesley, the pole sitter and the points leader in this series, will be starting to the inside of the 39, driven by Josh Metallic in row number 2. Chuck McClure will be starting alongside the 94 of Jessica Shelton. Bob Dixon in the 143 to the inside of Jeremy Jeffries in the number 8. Andrew Lemke to the inside of the 26 of B. Ellisor in row 4. And then in row number 5, it's Donnie Garrett to the inside of Dave Little. The last winner of the Talladega Challenge in RTG was Bob Seminara. And as with most RTG series and leagues, the top 3 finishers of the prior race finish in, or should I say, start in the last 3 positions for the next race. That's Bernie Mobbs, Joe DeSpirito, and the last week's winner, Bob Seminara. But this is the 7th race of the season, closing in on the halfway point of the season for these drivers. Grant Wesley comes in with a 2-point lead over Terry Bombard. Joe DeSpirito is 18 points behind, Donnie Garrett 23 points behind, and Bob Seminara, our last winner in this series, 32 points behind, coming into the 7th race of the season. I ask you, Joe, who do you think is going to go to victory lane after what we've seen so far? Grant Wesley, Richard Martin, Terry Bombard, Joe DeSpirito, and Bob Seminara, the past winners. Will we get a first-time winner here tonight?
You know what? I'm one for going out on a limb and not picking the ones that maybe you would normally look at. So I think we'll get a new winner here. It's Talladega. Anything's possible. And you don't have to start up front. You have to start at the back. Doesn't matter where you start. You can get to victory lane easily here.
And it will be a 66-lap race here tonight at Talladega. Glad you're joining us here on the Flatout Racing Network. Grant Wesley in the number 88 in a pretty good position. The points leader coming in, and he will lead us to the green flag for the 7th race of the season in the Talladega Challenge. Here we go through the tri-oval. They're coming to the start-finish line for the 7th race of the season in the Talladega Challenge. Grant Wesley and Josh Metallic will lead us to the green flag, and we are racing here at Talladega. Orderly start for now. Wesley with a bit of an advantage. He's going to move up to the outside and block the outside lane. That's going to leave the inside lane for Chuck McClure, and he's going to have a nose to the inside of Grant Wesley for the top position. Bob Mixon and the number 49 of Andrew Lemke there on the inside lane, but the outside with a good push at the start, and they seem to be better formed up at the moment here at Talladega.
Yeah, you can see that outside really getting formed up. They have a lot more cars out there. I think the last time we were at this track, we saw the middle lane work a little bit better than the inside lane. It looks like the same thing already early on this race.
Coming across to complete the first lap here at Talladega, Grant Wesley able to hold on to the race lead. Josh Metallic, Jessica Shelton to the inside. Jeremy Jeffries with a huge run on Shelton for the 3rd position. But he has a bit of a gap between him and Chuck McClure behind him. He might not be able to work that inside as well, but a good run there on the outside for Grant Wesley. He leads lap number 1 here at Talladega.
Jeremy Jeffries not waiting around, wanting to get to that race lead. Jumped down to the inside when he had a hole open. He's trying to get beside 2nd place right there, but losing some ground down the backstretch with little help at the 7th. He's finally gotten to him and trying to push him forward now.
Metallic and Wesley holding on to that outside lane for now, though. Jeremy Jeffries not as good of a run on the inside. It does appear, at least at this moment, that the outside lane has a little bit more grip. Seems to be working a little bit better here at Talladega. But it could be, too, that the pole sitter and points leader is leading up there. Obviously, Grant Wesley, one of the best drivers in this series, knows how to get it done. And last week, Bob Seminara started on the pole and won the race as well. So starting on the pole here at this racetrack has worked out fairly well as of recent races here in the Talladega Challenge.
Yeah, definitely. Even though it's a pack race, super speedway racing, track position really doesn't normally mean anything. Sometimes start up front. If a crash happens, you miss it normally, and obviously you can control the race. You go where you want to. Grant Wesley had that option to move up to the outside when he got such a good start, to move up and then kind of control this race on that outside lane. See, the top 5 or so, top 6 are gonna get clear right here on the outside lane.
Yeah, this outside lane definitely getting a huge advantage now. They might actually peek down to the inside lane, but they will stay in their respective position for now. That's Donnie Garrett now up to the 4th position. B. Ellisor there in 5th. Behind him, Dave Little and the 5 machine of Alan Martin. Looking to clear Jeremy Jeffries on the inside lane. You got Frank Rivard behind Martin there through the middle lane. Bob Dixon on the inside lane there, and also the 17-year Chuck McClure with Jeremy Jeffries have fallen back on the inside as of now. Andrew Lemke in the 49 there as well. A couple other guys here, Ronald Lucet in the 62 on the outside lane, and the 08 of Glenn Harris with the 6 machine of Wiley Coate right in front of those guys. There's some guys in the middle part of the pack right now, but up front, Grant Wesley continues to lead here at Talladega.
We have one peeking down to the inside. Looks like Donnie Garrett was going to look for a run, but got back in line. Maybe just testing the waters a little bit right here. Maybe look and see what kind of runs you get. If you back up just a little bit, how big of a run is that going to be? How much energy do I have to see maybe, can I make this work? But obviously, with the numbers down the inside, you're probably not going to make anything work unless you have a lot of friends go with you.
And drafting is very key here at Talladega. Of course, it's also interesting to point out that this series runs at Talladega every weekend. Every week we come here to the Talladega Super Speedway and the Talladega Challenger. These guys know this racetrack very well, but sometimes weather conditions can play things a little bit differently. Wiley Coate now peeking down to the inside. He is going to clear Jeremy Jeffries to try to get something to work on the inside lane. He was behind Frank Rivard there, but now he's going to try to work the inside on the 35 and possibly get something to work there.
Yeah, he had that really nice run going from the top to the bottom there. And that run can propel you for a lap or so. But,
and right there,
goodness.
Alan Martin. That was a close one right there. He almost cut and clipped the 6, but thankfully he did not. He had a huge run there to the inside of the 83 and the 26. And that might have caught Wiley Coate by surprise there. Alan Martin coming down like that. That's going to slow that inside lane down just a little bit now. Martin lost his momentum, and now the top 6 have put a bit of a gap on the rest of the field here.
Yeah, like you said, I think that the 5 caught the 6 off guard there, and Wiley Coate maybe let off a little bit, saying like, oh my gosh, he's actually coming down, and didn't want to cause a wreck in front of the field. And that did ruin the momentum of the inside a little bit, but now they have some numbers going. We'll see if they can try and battle that 08 and clear them to try and then make a charge at the front pack. But right now, I just think being on the outside definitely going to be working. Those top 6 are up there. They're doing a good job at it. Top 7, 8, so.
You have the number 13 of Dave Melson in the middle of this pack. 43 of Richard Martin this year. Bob Dixon and Andrew Lemke have fallen back at the start of this one, and they're now running around the 15th and 17th positions, and that right there was Chuck McClure moving to the outside lane. He had started up front for this race, but he got stuck on the inside and began the fall back. Tim Knopfsker in the 088, right behind him, David Lawson. Got Corey Deal in the 944. The 99 of Doug Woolley's in the middle of the pack, showcasing a few of these guys who may not necessarily get a chance to run up front because they were mired at the back of the field to start this one off. Doug Woolley there in the 99. Perry Bond in the number 60 machine back in here as well, and Jim Gloud in the 72. As they start to shake it up a little bit, it looks like Ronald Lucet in the 62 got shuffled out of line, and he's going to start the full back right now. And there's no help on that way outside lane, so we'll have to see how far back he does fall. But there are a few guys there. The number 18 of David Lawson, and behind him the 944 of Corey Deal, the 09 of J.R. Deal, working together right there on that outside lane. Looks like they will eventually pick up Ronald Lucet on that third lane.
Yeah, tough break there, getting shuffled out of line this early in the race with no one's going to be up there. They don't want to make a move like that this early on. He'll just stay up there, get back in line. There were multiple rows of 3 wide there down the backstretch, but got sort back out to mostly 2 wide now. Just a row or 2 of 3 wide further back in the field.
Take a look at a few of the guys who were up front in last week's Talladega Challenge race. Joe DeSpirito in the 24, now up to 31st. Bernie Mobbs in the 90, up to 34, or sorry, 33rd, I should say. And the winner of last week's race, Bob Seminara, currently in the 37th position. We have 40 starters for this race. Cy Jones currently the slowest. He has lost the draft in the number 7. And if this thing stays green, that could become an issue for our leaders, but 40 cars in this field. And Joe, we've done races before with a high number of cars at Talladega. I gotta say, these guys are doing a pretty good job keeping it clean so far.
Oh yes, they're doing a very good job. They know the consequences if they do end up crashing, and it's not pretty. So I think these guys just know, hey, it's lap 10, and there's 66 laps. Let's just ride around. As you can see, they're actually split in the middle. 3 right there. The 6 is in the middle. And got a little dicey there. They're going to let him in line. And once again, you can lift this early in the race because you know there's, you might lose a spot or two, but the consequence of wrecking the car is a lot more than losing a spot or two.
Exactly. 66 laps, a relatively long race, a little bit shorter than some other races, but still early on, only lap 10 of 66 right now. And as they always say, you can't win the race on lap 1, but you can definitely lose it. And that goes for all these guys here at Talladega. Very good job up front. Of course, these guys just logging the laps right now with Grant Wesley continuing to lead. He has led every lap so far. As a matter of fact, he just ran his fastest lap. A lot of pushing there from Josh Metallic. They're really working a fast line here as they're single file. As a matter of fact, top 4 all just ran their fastest lap here at Talladega. So that single file line gives you a lot more speed than when you're going double file, which is why these guys are staying in their single file line, not battling forward positions. They want to put a bit of a gap between them and the rest of the field.
And how about the opposite now? Jeremy Jeffries was the first one to break low and make a move down to the inside. Now he's on the way outside and making some ground up in the 8 car.
Yeah, maybe the farther up you go, the more grip there is. Dave Nelson behind him, Chuck McClure as well, and Tim Knopfsker all working that outside lane with the aid of Jeremy Jeffries leading that line. They're in a side-by-side battle right now with Glenn Harris in the 08, and behind Glenn Harris, I believe it's the 5 of Alan Martin, and moving up in front of Jeremy Jeffries, Frank Rivard in the 35. But now, Tim Knopfsker falls back down to the middle line. As on the way inside lane, midway through the pack, Bob Dixon trying to lead something. He's been on that inside lane pretty much this entire race. And he's stayed around the 14th, 15th position the past few laps here. We'll have to see if that inside lane eventually comes in as the tire wear starts to take a bit of a toll on these machines.
Our race leader starting to inch up a little bit more, trying to push Frank Rivard and Jeremy Jeffries a little bit more up the racetrack. They ran about half a lane higher than they were the last few laps through 3 and 4. You can see that 35 and 8, they've lost all help, and now they're just going to fall back with only 2 cars on the outside and basically the rest of the field in the middle and the inside.
Yeah, Frank Rivard and Jeremy Jeffries, they don't have any help. They're going to get Richard Martin to help them there in the 43, but that inside lane is now getting momentum on them. That's Bob Dixon there in the 143, Doug Woolley as well, and then you got Jim Cloud in the 72 trying to work the inside lane with David Lawson back in there. 21 is there as well. Should I say 28, excuse me. You know why I said 21 there, though. I didn't quite see the number there. Mark Paglia there, working the inside lane with those guys. But now we got a couple guys speaking to the inside. Chuck McClure and Tim Knopfsker in the 088 trying to work something in the inside lane that might bring Bob Dixon and the rest of those guys on the inside lane back up through the field. Starting to get a little dicey around the 9th position here at Talladega.
Yeah, make a move to the inside. These people obviously just want to get up to the race lead. They want to get farther than where they are. And you may be like asking, like, why would they do that if they know it's not going to work? Well, sometimes just riding in line, I know this just from not even just NR, but other NASCAR games, you kind of get impatient a little bit riding in a single file line. You just want to try and make something work and try and do something and say, hey, I tried to do it. Even if it doesn't work, you say, I'm the one that tried. I didn't just sit in line and, let them go up there and lead that race.
And of course, early on in the race, but might be a good idea to try those moves now and not later on in the race, because if it doesn't work, well, we still have time to work our way back through the field. And of course, this series races at Talladega every week, so they know this racetrack well, but they're still discovering new ways of getting the draft to work here, trying to get to the race lead. But it seems like around the top 6 guys are content with running in that single file line. Grant Wesley, Josh Metallic, Jessica Shelton, Donnie Garrett, and B. Ellisor, the top 5 right now. Dave Little is 6th. Chuck McClure is trying, but he lost Tim Knopsker as drafting help there, or he did, as Knopsker moves back to the inside, looking to push him down the backstretch. But I do believe Alan Martin might clear him there on that outside lane. Metallic almost peeked to the inside of Wesley for the lead. But they're going to remain in their single file line for now.
And how about further back in the pack? Jeremy Jeffries and Richard Martin were battling to try to get up further inside the top 10. Now they're outside the top 20 and fading on that way outside line without any help. They just got shuffled out, and you can't do anything. You can't try and force your way down the line. See Martin finally get down, but Jeremy Jeffries still stuck up top and with no help now. He might get down in front of that 43, though.
And to the inside, the 712, Bob Seminara, our last winner here, only up to 30th now, but he could be playing it. Oh, and around. We got a wreck. In turn number 2, that's Bob Dixon around, Paglia's around, Wiley Coate as well, the 09 of J.R. Deal and Ronald Lucet, and our first caution of the night here in the Talladega Challenge Race 7. Jack Dussault in the 36 also around, and Bob Seminara in the 712, our last winner, also getting caught up in this one as well.
Yeah, something like that happens front of the field, towards the front. It's going to collect a lot more than just who started it.
I'm not sure if Seth Cole in the 07 was involved. Andy Johnson in the back of the field. Mike Rogers. Saw Jack Dussault go around in the 36 machine. Paglia was one of the first guys to go around. Grant Wesley is your race leader. First caution of the night on lap 16 of 66. Did pretty good there, but we'll have to see what ensued there to bring out the caution. But definitely a very interesting situation. They're entering turn number 2. It looks like someone may have had to check up, and it stacked the field up entering the corner. Ronald Lucet was one of the first guys that I saw went around, and it was ahead of him. It's actually Bob Dixon in the 143 and Tim Knopsker in the 088 that had their issues. You're going to see that right there. Looks like Dixon just got on Knopsker just a little bit, and then it stacked the field up there. You see the 99 end up spitting Bob Dixon around. And then Mark Paglia has nowhere to go. Same with Wiley Coate as Dixon comes back up the racetrack. Andrew Lemke took a hard hit there, and Jeremy Jeffries was also involved in the 8 machine. And then farther up there, Bob Seminara also got caught up, and that's the tough thing about starting in the back of the field. Of course, the top 3 finishers in each race start in the back for the next race here in RTG, and that's what happened with Bob Seminara, and he did not move his way through the field very nicely in those first few laps. Of course, it could have been strategy to avoid a possible accident, but did not work out as well as Bob Seminara would have hoped there. I'll replay this one more time from Seminara's standpoint. See the 712 tries to check up. Dussault gets into him, though, in the 36 machine. That actually isn't what he gets caught up in, though. Lemke coming down in the 49. That spins the 712 around. And pit stops taking place. Terry Bombard won the race off, I do believe. I'm not entirely sure if everyone came down. They didn't, so a few guys did, in fact, stay out. Grant Wesley won the race off the pit lane, but we did have 6 drivers stay out. Terry Bombard in the 10. We've yet to mention him. He's second in the points, only 2 points behind Grant Wesley. So that's going to work out in his favor pretty well. Jeff Crivello in the 56 in the 2nd position. Jason Scheck in the 21, 3rd. Wayne Pribnow in the 4th position in the 00. Seth Cole stayed out, and Andy Johnson. So 6 guys stayed out under that caution. Grant Wesley, Josh Metallic, Jessica Shelton, Donnie Barrett, and then Chuck McClure, the top 5 off the pit lane.
I have to wonder if maybe those front 6 that stayed out, if they're maybe going to come down a little bit later on and didn't want to get involved in some pit issues, possibly.
Yeah, you got to think we have 40 drivers in this race, and no matter what you're racing in, that is a lot of drivers to maneuver on the pit lane, so might have worked out pretty well for those guys. Of course, these are a lot of guys who were running in the back of the field, including Terry Bombard, which is interesting. Winner of the 4th race this season. Haven't seen him up front yet, but could be a little bit of strategy for Bombard in the number 10 here tonight. And I do believe you are right about that. It appears that the top 6 will be coming back down. And that will leave the 88 of Grant Wesley out front. Seth Cole, he peaked outside, but he's also going to come down, as probably should come down with
Yeah.
17 laps in the race. Probably a good idea to make sure you have enough fuel with the rest of the drivers and it doesn't become a fuel mileage race, because that could definitely hurt you down the road if you don't come down now. But Grant Wesley, Josh Metallic, Jessica Shelton, Donnie Garrett, and Chuck McClure, the top 5. What are your thoughts on this race so far? 18 laps in, we've only had one wreck, a lot of single file up front. Do you think it's going to stay that way for the rest of the night?
It definitely won't stay that way for sure, but very interesting to see that middle lane work better than the inside lane, obviously with the more grip. And it looked like the outside lane, the way outside up against the wall, could work out if you got enough guys. We saw it work when there was maybe about 5 guys up there. Once they dropped in numbers, they started to fade back. So it'll be interesting to see if they get single filed out in the middle lane, if that outside can actually prevail with maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 guys up there working it.
We'll just have to see. Of course, this is definitely a track where the more you have, the more people helping you, the faster you will go. And of course, this is the Men's 19 CTS mod, so higher downforce on these machines means that give the guy a push is going to help him out quite a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out here for the restart. And I do believe that everyone will still be in the race. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they run moderate damage here for Talladega. I didn't see too much damage with those guys who were caught up, and there were a few hard hits. Did not officially get the memo on that one before the race, but I do believe that is the case for these guys, considering a lot of the guys involved in an accident are still out there and look pretty good. Seth Cole there, driving the FRN colors in this race. Pretty neat to see that here while we're on the Flatout Racing Network. Of course, huge thanks to Seth Cole for letting me and Joe call this race for you guys here tonight. He's currently running in the 30th position there in the 07. Ty Jones in the 7 going to go back around and get one of his laps back. I believe next time by, the lights will go out on the pace car. Grant Wesley and Josh Metallic. Now, this is going to be interesting with these guys double file coming to the restart. It's definitely going to make it interesting. Will we see that same single file line that we saw before the caution came out, or will they be in a different order? You got Jessica Shelton there starting behind Grant Wesley. We know she's fast in the number 84. But then you also got Chuck McClure, who did a good job on the pit lane. They gained a few positions there. B. Ellisor there in 6. Dave Little and Alan Martin there in row number 4. Then Dave Melson and the 08 of Glenn Harris. That is the top 10 coming to the restart. Back in there, David Lawson in the 18, Frank Rivard in the 35. You got the 99 of Doug Woolley to the inside of Perry Bond in the 60 machine. Benoit Plord there in the 87. First time we mentioned him all night. He's to the inside of Jeremy Jeffries, who was actually caught up in an accident a little bit there. Joe DeSpirito midway through the field after he started in the back in the 24. Then you got Jim Glaude, Richard Martin, Wiley Coate, the 11 machine of Mike Rogers, the 011 to be exact. Bernie Mobbs in the 90, Ronald Lucet in the 62, a couple of guys who were involved in that accident, I do believe. Tim Knopfsker in the 088, Terry Bombard. You got the 143 of Bob Dixon to the inside of Corey Deal. J.R. Deal back in there in the 09. Hank Middleton, haven't seen much of him yet in this race, but he's back there in the 2. And coming around to get position, Jeff Crivello in the 56. Robert Nisus in the 54. Bob Seminary, who was caught up in that accident, our last winner here in the Talladega Challenge. Mark Paglia, Andrew Lemke, Seth Cole, Wayne Pribnow, Jason Scheck, Andy Johnson, and Cy Jones. Full field rundown here coming to the restart. Lap 21 of 66 when we will get back to racing here in the 7th race of the season in Talladega Challenge for RTG. Rolling Thunder Gaming rolling on here at Talladega. Grant Wesley rolling on very nicely. He's led the most laps so far, all but one to be exact. And that one lap was when Terry Bombard stayed out an extra lap to avoid contact on the pit lane. Grant Wesley and Josh Metallic for the restart. About a third of the way through. We'll be a third of the way through once we complete lap 22 here at Talladega. Let's see how it all goes down here as the pace car pulls off, ready to restart on lap 21 of 66 here in the 7th race of the season. And in the restart zone, it will restart right about Take a while. Grant Wesley definitely playing a little strategy here, waiting a little late to take the green, but he'll take it right there with Josh Metallic to his outside. Jessica Shelton peeking to the outside, but it looks like Wesley is going to be able to clear to go up to the outside lane. Now here's the question, will Jessica Shelton have enough of a run to work the inside and possibly clear Grant Wesley down the backstretch?
She got a run. She has a nice push as well from that 17 Chuck McClure. See what happens here. They're deadlocked.
Side by side. That outside lane is better formed right now, and with that, Wesley has a slight advantage, but Jessica Shelton doing all she can. She's got the help there from Chuck McClure, but McClure had to check up just slightly, and now Talik has a better advantage on Wesley than McClure does on Shelton, but Shelton working that outside lane, trying to side draft Grant Wesley there through the trial, and I believe we're going to be side by side at the line.
At 2x2 all the way back for about 5 rows, and at the line...
Oh boy, that was close. I think it was Shelton, and in fact was. Jessica Shelton, first lap lead of the night for her. Great run there on the inside lane, and this is the best we've seen the inside lane run all night here at Talladega.
Yeah, it's about equal numbers, and definitely when you have some aggressive people on the inside, it's going to work. See Shelton kind of moving over and trying to get off the 88 and maybe get some side draft. 17 being a very, very good pusher of Chuck McClure right now. And it's very, very equal as well. They have not been able to get away from each other.
I will say the inside lane is better formed up this time than it was on the start of the race. You got Dave Little there, you got Dave Melson, and then David Lawson. A lot of Daves there in the inside lane. But it's Chuck and Jessica leading that inside lane right now, and Grant Wesley on the outside, and I believe Melson almost got a little loose there and got into the outside lane, but thankfully kept it together. You got Johnny Garrett still in the outside lane. He's behind Josh Metallic and B. Ellisor, Alan Martin as well, but these lines are still even. Wesley was able to get the advantage on Shelton that last time by, but they remain side by side. A good push off the corner for Grant Wesley. I think they have a slight advantage on that outside lane. They don't have to take as tight of an arc through the corner, and they're able to get off the corner much better, and you're going to see that right there. Much more speed out of Grant Wesley, but Wesley's going to stay on that outside lane. He wants Metallic behind him this whole race, I believe, and the 88 and 39 have worked well together so far here tonight at Talladega. Back in there. We got some 3-wide action. So much actually going on, it's hard to keep track of all of it.
Yeah, that 8, Jeremy Jeffries, has not been afraid to sit in line, or he's not been afraid to move out of line. He's afraid to sit in line. And something that might actually hurt the middle lane is if that outside starts to get enough numbers and get up to them, it's going to stall that middle lane out as well. And then all 3 lanes are going to be very equal. So that Jeremy Jeffries trying to make something work in the outside, and he's doing it right now, up inside the top 15.
They are a little bit farther back through the field, but they're keeping with Frank Rivard, and I believe that's Bernie Mobbs now moving on the inside of those guys. But Richard Martin, Jeremy Jeffries helping each other out there on that outside lane, and they're doing a good job right now, looking to get an advantage on the rest of the field. You got the 94 Jessica Shelton, though, still peeking to the inside of Grant Wesley. Wesley, of course, didn't go down because he wants to keep Josh Metallic behind him in this race. But they remain side by side, no give and take. And if they're not careful, that way outside lane's going to come into play. Alan Martin moved up there. Now he's leading that 3rd line, and they're gaining a lot of momentum now because they're slowing down the middle lane, and the inside lane isn't quite the preferred lane. That's actually going to help out Jessica Shelton in the number 94 to maybe clear the 88 down the back.
Close. Yeah, she was very close there. And how about, like, 2 laps ago, we thought that 88 was going to clear and then keep clear, but Jessica fought back on the inside help from Chuck McClure, and she is doing a great job making the inside work. But look at the outside coming.
Yeah, Alan Martin, Jeremy Jeffries, they've been kind of in the back of the field, mid-pack of the field, I should say, majority of this race, but now they're moving their way towards the front, and we could have ourselves a 3-wide battle throughout the entire field here in just a moment. But Alan Martin doing a great job in that outside lane with Jeremy Jeffries. They've closed right in, now inside the top 5.
Yeah, they 3 wide for inside the top 3 practically at this point. 88 with a nice boost through the middle, but Jessica fighting back on the inside. And all the while, that 5 is coming on the outside. Again, they've got numbers as well. They're stealing people from the middle lane. The middle people start to see that lane go, then they move up, and it takes people away from the middle lane.
Grant Wesley, though, doing a great job in the 88, trying to get that advantage. He has Jessica Shelton cleared now, but Alan Martin got a really good jump there. Oh, boy, something a little squirrely there. That's the 87, Benoit Plord. Almost lost it in the middle. That's going to hurt that middle lane right there. Every little bit of help counts right now for these guys. And if one guy has to step out a little bit, that slows the momentum down of a certain lane. Shelton's going to get the advantage, and I believe it's all because of Benoit Plord midway through the pack. It's amazing how someone in the way back of the pack can affect the race leaders, but this is how Talladega is with this draft being as significant as it is.
Yeah, Talladega, numbers game for sure. And, someone 10 rows back can affect the front of the pack. But a great job there, not wrecking and, collecting 10 other people in that. Great job saving the car, keeping this car going straight, and keeping other people's races alive as well.
Grant Wesley, though, still leading this field, but Jessica Shelton edging him at the line a few times here. Alan Martin staying within about the third, fourth line. We'll have to see if he gets another advantage back to the outside of Metallic and Chuck McClure, but at the moment he's side by side with the fourth row in this pack. You got somebody almost going around. Joe DeSpirito had to react. That's Hank Middleton in the middle who cut down on DeSpirito. Now that's going to hold up the inside and the outside lane a little bit. They all relatively remain in their respective positions, but that's going to check a few guys in the back up a little bit. They had to react to that, but a good job out of those guys avoiding a possible accident.
And I think that was enough for some of these guys to say, you know what? We're just going to ride single file now. We're done with it. We want a place to escape if something happens. That you can see like 5-10 people decide that they would just get in line and maybe ride in the middle, ride on the inside, but they're done riding double file and they just want a place to escape in case something big happens.
Jessica Shelton, Grant Wesley still side by side. So many guys in the middle of this pack. If one guy makes a mistake, and we've almost seen a couple of mistakes be made, it's going to be a huge wreck. But the good thing is it's not realistic damage tonight, so if a wreck does happen, most likely these drivers will be able to continue. That's a good thing about this series here. Not the same case with all the RTG series, but it is here for the Talladega Challenge. But Lap 29 of 66, only one caution, and of course I've been doing a few races for these guys here in RTG, and I have already been massively impressed by the way these guys race. And they do a very good job, and apologize about that. Apparently I activated my Siri on my iPhone, so apologize you had to hear that. But Grant Wesley, still holding on the outside. He might be able to clear Jessica Shelton this time, but he's going to keep Josh Metallic behind him here, and great job out of these guys here. Lap 29, only one wreck so far here at Talladega.
And they've been running 3x3 for the past, 5-10 laps. They've been doing a great job keeping everyone going straight in the same direction. And you see that middle lane start to move, got clear, and we'll see if Grant Wesley can now keep it ahead of Jessica Shelton, or if Jessica can try and get that push from the inside lane to move back to the inside of the 88. I think Grant's still going to be able to clear right here and keep the lead.
Whereas Grant Wesley, the only thing I can see him moving to the inside lane is if Josh Metallic clears Shelton and Metallic goes down as well, but I think these guys are content to ride that middle line regardless of if there's anyone to the inside of them, and we've seen that. We saw that in the first run before the caution came out, and we're seeing that right now here. They have the opportunity to clear Shelton, but they're not doing so, because I think that's the preferred line to be in. Grant Wesley there now holding on. He almost peeked down on Shelton, but that middle line is definitely getting a lot of momentum now. Donnie Garrett there. Bill Ellsworth in the 26 also moving through that middle line, and they're starting to gain the advantage there on the inside lane. But got to give a lot of credit to Jessica Shelton and Chuck McClure on that inside. They held their ground for a long time, a lot longer than what they did at the start of this race.
For sure, and you kind of just think of the middle lane as like porridge, you know? The inside's too hot, outside's too cold, the middle's just right. It has the best of both worlds. You get the run off the corner, you don't have to run as far out as the outside, and it's not as close to the inside, and you get runs off the corner, so it's the best of both worlds in that middle lane. But you can see, moving down to the bottom, Donnie Garrett wants to make something happen.
And Hank Middleton there, peeked down earlier. Now Donnie Garrett to the inside of Josh Metallic and Grant Wesley, and they might have an advantage here because those guys... Well, actually, it was just Donnie Garrett. It was a big gap, though, between Metallic and Bielsaur in the 26, but that's enough for Donnie Garrett to take the lead right away from Grant Wesley.
It might bring
Metallic
Jessica.
and Wesley lost so much ground because of that, and that inside lane was still formed up enough that Donnie Garrett could get the run, and he's got the lead here on lap 32 of 66.
Yeah, something happened in the middle lane that allowed just 3 cars to break away. Donnie Garrett saw that as a chance with that inside come with a run to then move down in front of them, and with just only 2 cars in the middle lane, separated from the rest of the pack, it helped that inside lane. Now 2 cars are clear. Jessica Shelton and Donnie Garrett out in front of the inside.
And Chuck McClure was moving up there on Grant Wesley a little bit, trying to slow that outside lane down just a little bit through the corner. Wesley now side by side, the third, and now looking to the outside of the 84, or should I say the 94 for the second position. That outside lane starting to gain some more momentum, but they lost that momentum when Donnie Garrett cut down to the inside. It was only Wesley and Metallic up front, and with only 2 cars, it's not near as fast as when you have 10 cars in the line. And that obviously, you saw the difference there as Garrett moved to the inside. But Donnie Garrett now, the new race leader. Wesley is moving back on the outside lane, though. They got the outside lane formed back up again. The third line has now left the party. We got a third line way in the back, but there were a couple guys who were not even involved in that third line earlier on. Terry Bombard and around the 60 and the 90. Bernie Mobbs involved. Bob Dixon's around. Jim Cloud, and that's the 60 of Perry Bond who went around. Andy Johnson and the 00 of Wayne Pribnow able to stop his race car before he got caught up in that one. And Bob Seminara again. Not exactly the type of race he was expecting here tonight, especially after he won last week. But Donnie Garrett now out front here at Talladega. Is yet to win a race here in the Talladega Challenge. He's got a good opportunity, though, as he got around Grant Wesley, the dominant car of this race. And we'll have to see if he can hold on to that race lead. But someone went around down the backstretch. Dave Little in the 83.
Just did like a grip flip on the apron.
We'll have to replay that. We'll focus on the pit stops initially here. See how the pit strategy plays out. I imagine these guys are going to come back down again here, past halfway here in the 7th race of the season of the RTG Talladega Challenge. And they're waiting to get everyone lined up here on lap 34 of 66. It's just past halfway, only 2 cautions. Donnie Garrett, the race leader.
Kind of wait for that pesky pace car.
Going a little slow right there. Well, it stays at 70.
Yep.
So it isn't really that slow, but wait for the pace car so that the 77 can, in fact, come down the pit lane.
There we go.
Grant Wesley second, Jessica Shelton third, Chuck McClure, Josh Metallic. That's the top 5. And I'd imagine everyone's going to be coming down here. Of course, you might see the same strategy played out by Terry Bombard and a lot of guys in the back of the field this time. It's very interesting. We haven't really seen much of Terry Bombard second in the points in this series. Hasn't worked out that well for him so far in this race, but possibly could be a little bit of strategy. I mean, we've seen these wrecks occur, but these wrecks have occurred kind of in the back of the pack, so almost I would imagine that being up front would be the best place to be in this race. So we'll have to see if Bombard possibly plays strategy to get up front, have a shot at getting around Grant Wesley in the points, but the way things are looking right now, Wesley's going to pull away from him in the point standings. Donnie Garrett is going to be second off the pit lane. Grant Wesley, with that first pit stall, has the advantage, and that worked to his favor right there, as he will be the race leader once we get back to racing. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the caution. And initially, it was the number 60 machine going around. Bernie Mobbs also caught up in this one. Jim Cloud as well in the 72. Bob Seminara again. Definitely a very unique situation here. And it was Perry Bond in the 60. Tim Knopsker had to check up just a little bit there, and Perry Bond could not check up in time, and it stacked up in the back. Seminara involved, Bernie Mobbs as well, Jim Cloud, Bob Dixon in the 143 got spun around as well. And Perry Bond took a wild ride there in the 60 machine. Flipped upside, didn't quite flip upside down. On his side there for a little while. Bob Seminara was in the middle of that, and same with Eddie Johnson. And Jeff Crivello in the 56 also caught up in that one as well. We'll play this one more time, and we'll also take a look and see what happened to Dave Little down the backstretch on the cooldown lap. But 088 Tim Knopsker had to check up. He had Ronald Lucet ahead of him and just stacked the field up there. And there is a bit of damage there on Perry Bond. He took a wild ride there, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to continue on from that. Bob Seminara looks all right. See, these guys simply spun, but didn't work out as well as they would have hoped for. Now, Dave Little in the 83. I can locate him here. There he is. Right ahead of Dave Melson, and they're slowing down here on the cooldown lap. And it looks like Melson tapped him just a little bit. He just lost control. And a lot of grip there on the apron. Almost sent his car upside down, but that's another good reason why we have moderate damage on, because he should be able to continue fairly well there in the 83, or 083, I should say, after that one. Well, past halfway, it's going to be under 30 laps to go when we restart. I'm not sure if you have the numbers for the fuel window here or not. I'm not sure if Seth told you that at the beginning. But do you think fuel might become a factor in this race?
Well, I don't know the fuel personally, but from what we've seen, they've gone, what, about 18 laps? That was the first run?
And about 15 laps.
About 15. So we've got about 15, I would say. So who knows? I mean, we're going to restart with a little under 30 to go. I think they're going to have to pit again. And they should be able to make it on one stop from what we've seen, is my guess.
So we'll have to see how it all goes down. Seth Cole is the race leader right now, but I believe he's playing the same strategy to avoid contact on the pit lane. But definitely interesting he stayed out a second time. So do you think Seth Cole might be playing a little strategy in the 07?
I think he just knew we were going to look at the replays. He wants a TV time, so he decided to stay out another lap.
Nothing like advertising on your own channel.
Yeah.
FRN car leading right now. He's going to get a lap lead in this race. But I would imagine... it almost looks like he's going to stay out here.
Oh?
Nope.
He's faking you out.
Come on, Seth. Grant Wesley will, in fact, be the race leader. Ooh.
Oh, my.
And this could be interesting right here. Chuck McClure and Jessica Shelton both came down as well. You know what? I think the fuel window is right around 29, 28 laps. If they're pulling that strategy, coming down here when the lights are about to go off, I would imagine they're trying to stretch it to the end. So that's going to make the racing very interesting, because that means these guys are probably going to have to clutch a little bit on this next green flag run. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes down for these guys here with fuel mileage.
So definitely for these guys that came down pit road, there's a half a dozen, maybe a little more on pit road. They're going to be hoping it goes green, because they know that they can probably make it. The rest of the field might be questionable. They might have to. They're probably going to have to save a little bit. These guys probably know that they'll be just on the edge of the fuel window. So if it stays green, who knows?
It could be interesting for these guys if it stays green. Of course, Chuck McClure, Jessica Shelton, a couple of front runners in this race. Coming down and topping off, they're going to be restarting in the back of the field, and that is going to really make things interesting for this restart. Of course, guys like Bob Seminara, Joe DeSpirito, and Bernie Mobbs, top three from last week, started in the back, and they've had their fair share of difficulties moving their way through the field. However, Joe DeSpirito is going to restart inside the top 10. It will be Grant Wesley to the inside of Donnie Garrett, Josh Metallic to the inside of B. Ellisor, Hank Middleton, as we've seen him all day, in 5th alongside David Lawson, Jeremy Jeffries in the 8th. He's moved up fairly well here, up to the 7th position. 24, Joe DeSpirito, Dave Little, and Alan Martin round out the top 10. Then Frank Rivard, David Melson, Richard Martin, Glenn Harris, Wiley Coate, Terry Bombard, Ronald Lucey, Mark Paglia, Andrew Lemke, Benoit Plord, Doug Woolley, Corey Deal, Jason Scheck in the 21, Mike Rogers, J.R. Deal, Jim Gloud, Bob Dixon, Bernie Mobbs, Chuck McClure, the first one to come off the pit lane just now, then Jessica Shelton, Bob Seminara, Seth Cole, Jeff Crivello, Robert Nisus, Andy Johnson, Tim Knopsker, Wayne Pribnow, and I believe that's it. Coming back to the restart. That's the full field rundown as we are going to restart on lap 38 of 66. Going to be 29 laps to go here at Talladega in the 7th race of the Talladega Challenge in RTG. Grant Wesley's been the dominant guy of the day. Will he go to victory lane in 29 laps?
And here's something interesting. That 88 to 39, they've been working together all day. This is the first time they're actually lined up on a restart. The past two, the initial start and the restart, they were side by side with each other, and the 88 moved up in front of the 39. Now they're both clear, and they can both move up easily here entering turn 3. But we'll see if they do move up or if they're going to stay with that bomb lane.
They're working on the inside for now. I don't know if Metallic wants to move up quite yet on Donnie Garrett. But that inside lane's working pretty well. Hank Middleton there in the 2, and Jeremy Jeffries now inside the top 5. We saw him fall back earlier on in the race, but now he's in contention for a possible race victory here. Hank Middleton's going to try something to the outside, going to peek ahead of Donnie Garrett, trying to work the outside on Josh Metallic. But I think it's pretty clear that Metallic and Wesley are going to help each other out at least to the last lap of this race. They've been together the entire race, and I think they're going to be together until the checkered flag.
Oh, we got a spin.
In the back. And that's Tim Knopfsker and the 21 going around. Jim Gloud in the
Corey
72
Deal.
as well. Corey Deal, Bribnow, and Crivello going around. And a quick yellow with the 3rd caution of the night here in the Talladega Challenge.
And this will help these guys save fuel.
It definitely will. So that probably is going to throw the strategy out for those guys who came down. So that means that Chuck McClure, Jessica Shelton, they're really going to have to work this field here on this restart. We'll have to see what they can do. Or everyone might come back down again. We'll have to see. We'll double check that. Because that could be a possibility. Grant Wesley wins the race back with Josh Metallic. Jeremy Jeffries is now up to 3rd. I'd watch out for Jeremy Jeffries. Hasn't won a race yet this season in the Talladega Challenge. He could have a good shot at doing so tonight.
Yeah, I was just about to say those front two better look in their mirror because Jeremy Jeffries has been very aggressive here tonight. He's been making moves. He's the one that's trying to make moves out of line and make something work, and now he's up in 3rd. I would watch out for him.
He could be a threat to Grant Wesley later on in this race. I'm going to double check and see if anyone's down the pit lane here, and if they do not, we'll go ahead and check in and see what happens to bring out the 3rd caution of the night. Lap 40 of 66. So I would imagine we're probably going to restart lap 43 of 66 roughly, which would be 24 laps to go in this race. So not much time until the finish. And of course, as with most Talladega races, it gets wilder the closer you get to the checkered flag. So we'll have to see if that's the same case here tonight. And it does appear that they will be coming down, or at least some of them will be.
Could be a fake.
Ooh, Jeffries. He thought about it. I'll say that much, but he's going to come down as well. Now, if I'm Chuck McClure, Jessica Shelton,
I would stay out.
I would definitely stay out here. But Shelton is coming
They're
down.
coming in, yeah. Seth Cole,
Yeah,
I don't know if they're
same
maybe
with McClure,
yeah.
So definitely interesting strategy. It did not work out for those guys, but everyone wants to make sure they're good to go to the end. It was probably a little close for those guys.
Yeah.
But Grant Wesley with that first pit stall going to come down the pit lane here.
I imagine a top off and just go.
Yep. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Same top 3s that came in. Wesley, Dalek, Jeffries, Hank Middleton, and Dave Little now up to 5th. Good pit stop for Little there. Little contact at the end. Somebody's around. That was 08 of Glenn Harris. And I think Frank Rivard also got caught up in that one as well. But let's go ahead and see what happened. Bring out the 3rd caution of the night. And it was in the back of the field there. And Corey Deal got a lot of damage from this one in the 944. Have to see. Probably a very similar situation. A lot of the wrecks we have seen so far tonight have been because someone checked up just a little bit and the guys behind reacted. And in this one, follow here with the 944. Whoa, wow. Doug Woolley had to react to Benoit Plord, and Corey Deal had nowhere to go but into the wall. You see Wayne Pribb now also caught up in the 56 of Jeff Crivello as well. Replay this one in real time or in slow motion. Get a better idea of what exactly happened here. But a hard hit for the 944 of Corey Deal. And we'll have to see. It looks like he actually got a run on Doug Woolley. So this didn't have anything to do with Benoit Plord, and got Woolley a little loose there ahead of him, and he had to react 21 right there, nowhere for Jason Scheck to go. And then Mike Rogers in the 011 also got caught up. Jim Glad was back in all of this as well. Then Tim Knopsker spun around to avoid. Jessica Shelton and Chuck McClure right in the middle of all this as well. And actually, McClure got a piece of it there from Corey Deal. A very interesting incident there. Through with turn number 2 and Jason Sheck all the way in the infield barrier there. Tough break for those guys involved. A lot of these wrecks that we've seen tonight, though, have been in the back of the field. So now, we'll have a few guys who are staying out here. We'll have to see. I'd imagine these guys are going to come down. Lights are still on the pace car, so it'll be one more lap. So it'll most likely be 23 laps to go when we restart. Jeff Crivello, Seth Cole, and Jim Gloud still out on the racetrack. But imagine Grant Wesley is going to remain, though, in the race lead. Imagine the top 3 will come back down, but we'll have to see if a little strategy does get played by these guys, possibly try to steal this win away here tonight.
You think those top 3 are brave enough to stretch that fuel, maybe?
We'll have to see. Of course, for Seth Cole, this is a little bit more of a one-off for him.
Yeah, he's
this
here
is
to
his
win.
only start so far this season, I do believe, in this series. Of course, we see Seth Cole a lot in NSC Array online leagues and over in IMRC occasionally as well, but that's the first time I've seen Seth here in RTG, and I'm sure he's raced it with these guys before, but definitely interesting to see what he pulls off here. It's like I said, more of a one-off. He's not really in it for the championship, so why not go ahead and try to steal one from everybody else here in that 07?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, remember, he came down with about 30 to go, so if he thinks he can make it, he can stay out there. He's just here to win.
And they are going to, in fact, I think they're going to stay out. They will. And I imagine White's going to go off the pace car next time by, so that means that our new race leader is going to be Jeff Crivello in the 56. And Seth Cole will be starting alongside him. Jim Gloud will be third.
Now,
now, Grant Wesley has a completely different challenge than what he faced earlier on, because he's not going to be restarting on the front row. He is going to be restarting in 4th.
Here's the interesting thing about that strategy, right? You have Jeff Crivello, obviously, he came in with Seth Cole. Jim Gloud has not pitted since the leaders pitted, like that early. So with about, what, 33 or so to go? 32 to go? So he's shorter on field than the front 2.
We'll just have to see what the Meliello machine can do. I'm definitely intrigued to see what Seth Cole and Jeff Crivello do, though. We got Crivello there, who is the race leader. Now, he's going to restart on the outside lane, and that's a smart move because you got Grant Wesley right behind you. And obviously, you know, Wesley's going to be fast. But not only that, that strategy is going to split up Grant Wesley and Josh Metallic. They're going to be in completely different lines, but they're not going to be able to hear one another and get to each other very quickly because Grant Wesley going to be to the outside in row 2, Metallic to the inside of row 3. They're going to have a lot of other cars around them this time, so this is really going to shake things up. It will, in fact, be 23 laps to go on the restart. Spirito, I think he's warming up his tires, I believe. I'm pretty sure, so he will be restarting up here as well. Of the 3 guys who started in the back of the field, he has done the best here tonight. No doubt about it, they're going to be restarting around the 11th position. He's only 18 behind Grant Wesley. Now, odds are if Wesley can hold off to a top 10 finish here tonight, he will remain the points leader. Terry Bombard, second in points, hasn't really been seen tonight up front. With Joe DeSpirito, Donnie Garrett, a couple of guys there. Of course, DeSpirito 18 behind coming into this race and 23 behind. If Wesley happens to wreck out and Garrett and DeSpirito finish ahead of him, well ahead of him, they could both have an opportunity of possibly taking the points lead at the end of the night. But as of right now, it does appear that Grant Wesley, as long as he gets a top 10 run, should be able to remain the points leader heading into the 8th race of the season next week. But here we go. Jeff Crivello, Seth Cole, Jim Gloud, Grant Wesley, Josh Metallic, Jeremy Jeffries, Hank Middleton, Dave Little, Donnie Garrett, David Lawson. That's the top 10. Joe DeSpirito is in the 11th position in the 24. We'll restart here with 23 laps to go at Talladega in race 7 of the Talladega Challenge in RTG.
See that 88 leave that gap there.
Yeah, I think he's thinking that Crivello's not going to get as good of a jump. And he didn't. But Seth Cole did. And to the lead. Seth Cole going to take it away in the 07. Jim Cloud in the 72 with a good push there. Josh Metallic, he can't wait for Grant Wesley anymore. And Metallic is the first guy of the guys who topped off on fuel. Middleton behind him in second. Jim Cloud looking to the outside of Seth Cole right now. Metallic's going to peek out.
Oh, look
out! The wall. Crivello and Grant Wesley's going to go to the outside wall as well. And a huge stack up. Many cars involved in turn number 3. It's a big one here at Talladega.
Yeah, with different strategies.
Goodness.
Something was getting ready to happen, and it happened.
It sure did. Grant Wesley, who was the dominant guy of this race, heavily involved in this one. Trying to see where he is. There he is. You can see, I don't look too bad. Of course, with the moderate damage, I don't think it affected him too much. It says that he's currently in the 9th position. We'll have to wait for everything to roll back around. But Seth Cole, the race leader in the 07. Josh Metallic, Jim Cloud, Hank Middleton. That is exactly what Donnie Garrett and Joe DeSpirito wanted to see. Just as I was mentioning before that restart, I was talking about how as long as Grant Wesley finishes inside the top 10, which granted he might still finish inside the top 10, but this opens the door for DeSpirito and Garrett to definitely close in on Wesley in the point standings heading into next week. So,
and Terry Bombard is up in 13th now.
And watch out, if we get another big wreck like that, he could find his way up there. Some guys with a lot of damage. Bob Dixon, Benoit Plord. Now Seth Cole's going to have Josh Metallic to his outside here. I don't know if the strategy is going to play out as well for Cole, but I will say he had a much better restart than Crivello did that last time. Crivello could not go, and Wesley, Leaf got into him there just a little bit. Going to double check, make sure these guys don't come down the pit lane, and Metallic's going to come down.
Okay.
A lot of guys, wow.
This is,
This is an interesting strategy. Because I would imagine it's only 21 laps to go. And with hardly any green flag racing in between the last time these guys came down, these guys should be able to be good on fuel, so...
Yeah. And if
only
Seth Cole is still...
only unless we have the fuel cycle wrong and it's only a few laps. And the cautions happen to come out at the perfect time. But a lot of guys did still stay out there, so... Seth Cole remains the leader, then Jim Cloud. Hank Middleton stayed out, Benoit Plord stayed out. Frank Rivard, David Lawson. And look at who's all of a sudden in 7th. We thought he was having a terrible day. Well, now he's inside the top 10, looking for 2 straight wins. Bob Seminara there. Mike Rogers, Jessica Shelton, Wayne Pribnow inside the top 10. Metallic, I believe they just came down the top off, which is interesting. I'm a little bit intrigued by that. Because, you know, we've seen, you know, the longest they've won is about 17, 18 laps, but that was because a caution came out. Obviously, the fuel window is going to be a little bit more than that, but it may not have been that much more. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But let's go ahead and see the carnage that ensued in turn number 3. And let me tell you, it was a wild one. And of course, Grant Wesley, dominant guy of the race, getting caught up in the accident in the 88, I should say. And this is definitely going to affect the championship here in the Talladega Challenge, no doubt about it. And we'll just have to see here how it all went down. Lap 44 of 66. And of course, we saw Jeff Crivello stay out. He did not get going near as well as the rest of the field. And we'll just have to see. And I think part of it had to do here. Yep, you see right there. Hank Middleton and Josh Metallic. It was actually Middleton getting into the 56. We'll actually go back there just a little bit and show you specifically what happened. Hank Middleton there in the 2. Moved up with Josh Metallic. He knew he had the same strategy as Metallic and wanted to stick right with him. And as Middleton was coming up, he got into the 56 of Jeff Crivello, and that sent him into the outside wall. Grant Wesley, Jeremy Jeffries, Alan Martin got a piece of this one. Joe DeSpirito avoided it. Wesley had to spin to the right to avoid DeSpirito. How about the 93 there? Dave Little shot right through that whole thing. Wiley Cope there, nowhere to go. Alan Martin, nowhere to go. And then just mayhem after that. Andrew Lemke, Ronald Lucet, course, Jeff Gravel caught up in the middle of all that as well. Benoit Plore there as well. So many guys. Chuck McClure, Doug Woolley, Jason Scheck in the 21, Tim Nosker in the 088, 097. I think that's J.R. Deal going around as well. Excuse me, that's Andy Johnson. Excuse me there. David Lawson. So many guys caught up in this one there through turn 3.
That was bigger than big. I mean,
that's what this track is known for. Let's have to see. Real life NASCAR coming here this weekend. Could be a sign of what's to come in real life. Who knows? We'll play this in real time. And Jeff Gravel just getting shot up there as Hank Middleton came up to clear the outside. And that's just a lot of contact. That's all I got to say. I think nearly half the field was involved in that one. And I think it's a good thing that it's moderate damage. It's going to affect a few of these guys, though. Some hard hits there in that accident. Someone's actually upside down there. I'm not entirely sure who that was. Looked to be possibly the 52. I don't know if we have a 50. Actually, it was a 26. It was B. Ellisor who was upside down right there. Wild wreck there, entering turn number 3. Gonna have to see how this strategy plays out, though, in this race. It should be interesting. Death goal still out. I would imagine lights are going to go out next time by here. So we're going to restart lap 49 of 66. That'll leave us. Death Cole is going to come down. So the fuel was not enough. And, I mean, you mentioned Jim Glad. I'm not as surprised with him on that one. But now, Bob Seminara is leading this field. And I believe while we were reviewing the accident, a few of those guys who stayed out also came down. So, in fact, they did not have enough fuel. So the fuel window here is probably around 20 laps. Would be my guess. Yeah. We apologize. Unfortunately, we weren't given the memo. Of course, I came in a little late. Didn't have enough time to fully get prepared for that information. But I believe at this point, it's safe to say about a 20-lap fuel window for these guys. After this, they should be good to go. Fuel should not be an issue here as we will restart with under 20 laps to go. But who would have thunk it? Bob Seminara now leading this field after all that he's been through. He started in last place because he won last week. And, of course, as we mentioned in RTG, top 3 finishers of the prior race start in the back. And now he's leading this field, but imagine guys like Josh Metallic, Donnie Garrett, Joe DeSpirito's up here. He hasn't had a bad day, even though he started in the back as well. He's got a good shot at this one. Richard Martin there. Some new faces up front. And, you know, you got Terry Bombard also up here. Going to be restarting in the 7th position. Grant Wesley is... good shot he might lose his points lead at the end of the day, especially if Bombard or DeSpirito win this thing. Or even Donnie Garrett as well, or maybe even Bob Seminara. Seminara comes in 32 behind, so we'll just have to see how it all goes down. Josh Metallic with a good shot at moving his way through the point standings. He's 49 behind, but he did not have a good day last week. He lost 5 positions in the points. But definitely a huge opportunity for Metallic to rebound. Metallic may actually have the best shot at winning this race by the looks of it. We're just going to have to see. Of course, last week's winner, Bob Seminara, is leading this field. We'll have to see how it all goes down here. Joe DeSpirito looking for his 2nd win of the season there, restarting in the 4th position. But I don't think it's going to go down here. Will this be the last restart, or will we get another caution? We've already had 4 of them here tonight.
Yeah, we've seen that cautions are breeding cautions here tonight. I mean, we've had 2 quick successive yellow flags. So I think it's just gonna keep getting crazier and crazier. As you mentioned earlier, the later you get Talladega, the crazier it's gonna get. And I don't think this is gonna be any exception.
Differing strategies up front as well. Bob Seminara staying out. Terry Bombard also staying out to gain some positions. A lot of the other guys have topped off on fuel. I do believe, though, that everyone should be good. We'll have to see about Bombard and Seminara, though. They did stay out under that caution while everyone else came down, so they could be an issue. We'll just have to see. Wow. Very interesting start there. Seminara did not get going, and now DeSpirito is going to be pushing Metallic there on the outside lane.
And Metallic got a little bit of a rolling start. He kind of laid back a little bit, got a little bit of a run, and used that just little by little. Got up, and I think he's going to clear easily Seminara off turn 2 and down the back.
Maybe not. Donnie Garrett is hanging with the 7 pretty well right now, but that outside lane just simply has the best help, and they are going to clear the inside lane very well. And don't look now. Here comes Grant Wesley. Gained a lot of positions there through that exchange, and he's now looking to the outside of Bob Dixon, and Dixon has some damage. I'd imagine that's going to be slowing him down a little bit. And Wesley's going to be right back in this pack, so Wesley does not want to lose this points lead here tonight, and he's going to fight for all it's worth there in that 88 machine. But back to the race lead. It's now Josh Metallic leading the field. Joe DeSpirito, Dave Little. They are putting in a significant gap in the rest of the field. That inside lane dissipated quickly, and they're all getting around the 712 of Bob Seminara right now.
Yeah, that inside just did not have a great jump at all, and you could see the price it's having. Seminara's going to fall back possibly to about 10th or so as the rest of the field starts to try and move up to the middle lane and get something working up there. And you can see most of the fields up there. There's only really 2 cars on the inside right now.
Now it's back to a very similar field to the start of this race. Single file up front, but with only 17 laps to go, coming to 16 to go, I don't think it's going to stay that way for too long. Josh Metallic continuing to lead. Joe DeSpirito, Dave Little, Jeremy Jeffries. Now, if you're someone like DeSpirito or Dave Little or Jeremy Jeffries, I think you're content to stay behind Metallic for now. But if you're someone like Donnie Garrett or Terry Bombard or even Grant Wesley, especially for Garrett and Wesley, they've been up front a majority of this race. Do you think they're going to stay in line as long as the guys in front, or do you think they're going to try to make a move early on here?
I think it kind of depends on where you are in points, right? If you're Grant Wesley, you're trying to protect your points lead. So you might just stay in line. You might be content running right behind your right now points rival Terry Bombard and just kind of following him through there. But if you're someone that's maybe just here to win and maybe, not up there in points and you're trying to move your way up, you're going to want to move out of line. I think for sure the top 5 are going to stay in line because they right now have the best shot. But back behind them, I think it could be a logjam and just a mad rush to see who can move forward first.
Chuck McClure trying to work an outside lane, and the yellow's back out. And another wreck. It doesn't look like it was as big this time. Benoit Plord and Wiley Coate in the 6. And the thing is, too, no green-white checkers in this series, and once we hit lap 66, we hit lap 66, so the more cautions we have, the less green flag racing time there is, so I don't know, I have a feeling this next restart's going to be a little wild for these guys up front. 5th caution, same amount as we had last week. Josh Metallic, Joe DeSpirito, Jeremy Jeffries actually 4th as Dave Little was ahead of him. Forgot about that. And then Tim Knopsker rounds out the top 5. Tim Knopsker is also up there in points, 38 behind. A good opportunity for him to close in a little bit on Grant Wesley. But Wesley is now in the 9th position, currently inside the top 10. Terry Bombard fell back to 8th. So right now, Wesley, I believe, can't remember if they give out bonus points for leading laps. If they do, Wesley will probably actually gain on Bombard if they were to finish in those respective positions. Let's go ahead here and see what happened to bring out the 5th caution of the night here in the Talladega Challenge. Race 7 of RTG. And Benoit Plord and Wiley Coate going around in turn 3, but nowhere near as big of an accident as the last one. And we'll quickly take a look and see. And Benoit Plord there on the inside. Oh boy, he did not transfer back onto the racetrack well. Got right in the Wiley Coate there, and the caution came out. A little interesting there out of Benoit Plord. Trying to see exactly how he got in that situation. Oh, wow. He tried to make the pass on Bob Dixon on the inside. That might have been part of the issue there. He was on the apron and entered the corner with his wheel still on the apron and did not have a good radius entering the corner and got into the 6 machine. Tough break there for those guys in the back of the field, and a rough night for those guys involved in the accidents. The way the cookie crumbles sometimes, and especially when you come to a super speedway like Talladega. But these guys, they do it every week here at Talladega. So, pretty common thing for a few of these guys to get involved in accidents. It's bound to happen at least some point throughout the season for everybody. And that's happened to quite a few guys here tonight. So Josh Metallic continuing to lead the race in the number 39. Joe DeSpirito is now up to 2nd. You got to remember, DeSpirito is one of those 3 guys who started in the back of the field after finishing top 3 last week. And of course, finished top 3 tonight. They're going to be starting in the back next week. So that's also in play here. Dave Little in 3rd. Jeremy Jeffries in 4th. Tim Knopsker in 5th, Richard Martin, Donnie Garrett, Terry Bombard, Grant Wesley, and Chuck McClure, the top 10. Lights still on the pace car, and give it a little bit of time before the lights go off. But Imagine we're going to restart around 11, 12 laps to go here in this race. How do you think it's going to shake out here, the finish of this one? We're closing into the finish here at Talladega.
Well, we got the strategy part out of the way now. I think everyone should be confirmed good to go on fuel, hopefully. So I think now it's just down to who can move the lanes the best, who can get up to the front the best. Obviously, we've seen Josh Metallic up inside the top two pretty much all night long. If not top two, definitely top five. We've seen drivers like Jeremy Jeffries try to move up through the pack, different lanes, high, low, middle, you name it. And then obviously don't count out still Grant Wesley back in ninth. He's going to be on a mad charge up through the field trying to get that track position back after being involved in that crash just 2 cautions ago.
He definitely will be. And obviously, Grant Wesley, the points leader, trying to hold on. Only 2 ahead of Terry Bombard. I think he's going to most likely finish ahead of Bombard. Bombard hasn't had the strongest car tonight. And he's on a bit of a differing strategy, too, compared to Bob Seminara. So that might be part of the reason why I didn't get as well of a restart that last time around. But he's still going to be there. Might have a shot at possibly taking it away from the 88 here. Interesting to see how it all goes down. Lights are still on the pace car, so we'll have at least 2 more laps, including this one, before we get back to racing. So that's just going to make it even more interesting. And I believe it's going to be an 11 lap to go restart here for these guys here coming down to the end of the race. So got Josh Metallic, Joe DeSpirito, Dave Little, Jeremy Jeffries, and Tim Knopfsker. Of that top 5, who do you think has the best shot? Of course, DeSpirito has already won twice this season. When it comes to Metallic, Little, Jeffries, Knopfsker, all 4 of those guys, none of them have won a race yet this season. The only guy into the top 5 who has won is Joe DeSpirito, and he's won twice. But of this top 5, who do you think has the best shot at winning here tonight?
I think Josh Metallic has definitely shown that he's come to play here, even though he's rode behind, in second most of the race. I think now, with him being out front, he can now show the speed he has and lead this race. So I'm looking at the race leader right now, Josh Metallic, to get it done.
Of course, the All-Star race a few weeks ago, Joe DeSpirito went to victory lane, so pretty good at this version of Talladega. Very good at Talladega, I should say. Like I mentioned, only driver so far this season to win twice here in the Talladega Challenge. 6 races in. Of course, this is the 7th race of the season. And every Thursday night for these guys here in the Talladega Challenge, all the way up until August 13th, the finale here for the Talladega Challenge in RTG. So they'll be rolling throughout the summer here and all at the same racetrack as well. Very interesting concept, great concept out of these guys. And like I mentioned, the races I've done here for RTG the past month or so, they've been awesome races to watch, especially the last one I did last Monday night. That was an awesome one. But huge thanks to these guys for letting us broadcast, and vice versa, of course. Huge thanks to Seth Cole for letting me and Joe call this race as well. We greatly appreciate it, and we love calling these races here for RTG. Great series. Absolutely love the racing we're seeing, and I'm thinking we're going to have another great finish here tonight for the 7th race of the season here in Talladega Challenge.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure. It's going to be, probably 11 to go right here for the restart, and this might not be the last one.
It might not be, but keep in mind, no green-white checker, no overtime in this series, so once we hit lap 66, that is it. And who knows, we could end under caution here if they're not careful. Metallic, DeSpirito, Little, Jeffries, Knopfsker, Richard Martin, Donnie Garrett, Barry Bombard, Grant Wesley, Chuck McClure, Donald Lucet, Glenn Harris, Hank Middleton, Alan Martin, David Lawson, Doug Woolley, J.R. Deal, Jim Gloud, Frank Rivard, Jessica Shelton, Mike Rogers, Bob Seminara fell way back there on that restart, now down to 21st. Dave Melson, Seth Cole, Bob Dixon, Mark Paglia, Wayne Pribnow, Bernie Mobbs, Andrew Lemke, Robert Nisus, Wiley Coat, and Benoit Plore. The rest of the drivers who started this race, actually, except for B.L. Sor, is going to get around and gain his lap back. He'll still be on the lead lap in the number 26. The rest of the drivers are out of the race. You'll see the ticker scroll through here in a moment. Got the 39 of Josh Metallic leading, though. And he had been helping Grant Wesley earlier on in this race, but now he's the one in control of the field. Have to see what he can do. Out of the race include Andy Johnson in the 097, Jeff Crivello in the 56, also out of the race. Jason Scheck was involved in a big accident. Same with Corey Deal in the 944. The 60 of Perry Bond. Remember, we saw him involved in, I believe, was the second caution of the night. Cy Jones in the 7, and then Jack Dussault in the 36 was involved in the first accident that we had earlier on tonight. Here we go. 11 laps to go here at Talladega in the Talladega Challenge, race number 7 for RTG. Josh Metallic and Joe DeSpirito. Let's see who gets it done here. Metallic looking for his first win of the season. DeSpirito looking for his third. Going to be an interesting restart here with 11 laps to go. Will it be the last one? We're just going to have to find out. Oh, and a huge stack up on the inside lane. Dave Little did not get going. That's going to hurt Grant Wesley a ton.
Look at that.
Hurt Metallic as well.
Yeah, that outside. I think Joe DeSpirito and Jeremy Jeffries formed up there on that outside. More cars. There's only 4 really on the inside right now.
And inside lane simply did not get going. That's, like I said, that's going to hurt Grant Wesley. Terry Bombard's far enough ahead of him at this point that I think Bombard currently, is the way they're currently running, holds the points lead. But DeSpirito looking for the race lead in the number 24, but Metallic holding strong on the inside lane. Going to be interesting here to the finish. Let's hope we get a green flag finish. I know these guys put on a great show if this thing takes the white flag. Metallic holding on to the inside of Joe DeSpirito. 83 of Dave Little right behind him. He is the one who actually spun his tires on the restart and stacked that inside lane up. But with only 4 cars on the inside lane, they're doing a pretty darn good job of holding it. And Metallic looking to possibly clear DeSpirito here for the race lead.
And now they're going to be 3 wide on that outside. Here comes that 17, Chuck McClure to the outside, Terry Bombard. They're going to try and form a 3rd lane all the way up top.
Oh, Richard Martin. What a move he had there. And it almost looks like they're going to go 4 wide. And, oh brother. Boy. Richard Martin did not have that much of a hole to squeeze into, but he managed to find it in between Jeremy Jeffries and Terry Bombard. But now Wesley's ahead of Bombard, so Wesley now in the position to hold the points lead. But up front, Josh Metallic, Dave Little, Tim Novsker, the top 3. The outside lane now losing its ground with Joe DeSpirito up there. All that shuffling to that 3rd line hurt that outside lane. You also got Donnie Garrett here as well. He's led a bit of this race too. We'll have to see if that 77 has a shot. And look at Jeremy Jeffries. Wow, what a move out of the 8 machine as he cut down to the inside. And now Joe DeSpirito is left out to dry. They know he's strong. I don't know if they're going to help him in this one.
And now it's the complete opposite of what we've seen all night. We've seen that middle lane work well and everyone be up there. But now everyone is on the bottom lane starting to move that forward. And it's worked out for Josh Metallic. He's held the lead on the restart. 4 cars trying to break away. But Jeremy Jeffries, he's not going to stay in line in 5th position.
No, he isn't. Of course, he's had an up and down day. He started up front, fell back after he couldn't really find the right line, but managed to work his way back to the front. Now inside the top 5 on lap 59 of 66. 8 laps to go here at Talladega in RTG Talladega Challenge race number 7. Josh Metallic, the race leader. Richard Martin's going to try something there. And look at who's behind him. Grant Wesley in the 88, caught up in that big accident we had earlier on. Looking to rebound from it and possibly even have a shot at winning here tonight. He's led the most laps. We'll have to see if he leads the most important one.
And they got some help. Here we go.
He was looking, but he didn't make the move in time. Martin and Wesley with a huge run in the outside lane.
Great push.
And Jeremy Jeffries lost that inside there, and he might actually be looking to draft behind and get to the outside lane. A big gap right there between Terry Bombard and Ronald Lucet. Jessica Shelton trying to move her way through the field there in the 94. But Richard Martin trying to get an advantage here with Grant Wesley behind him. We'll have to see if Dave Little or Tim Novsker try to move their way to the outside lane here soon, or maybe even Josh Metallic block the outside.
Someone has just spun down to the inside. We're staying green, though. It's Jessica Shelton.
Jessica Shelton in the 94, but she is not on the racing surface, and the green flag will remain out. The tough break for her there. She was running just outside the top 10. Looks like she will fail to finish here tonight at Talladega. Meanwhile, look at this outside lane. Richard Martin in the 43, a bit of a dark horse, I might say, for this race victory. But here he is, the highest he's run all night. He's got the most dominant guy of the night right behind him. And Wesley, mind the tell you, is now inside the top 5.
I think Richard Martin has a nice run on the outside. With that help, I think he's going to get by him.
Coming across the line. Metallic will lead that lap. Wesley actually hanging back just a little bit there. That's going to hurt Martin's chances of clearing Metallic. Closing in on Bielisaur there in the 26, but he'll be out of the way enough that the leaders will not be affected. Dave Little is second, Tim Nofsker there, and then Donnie Garrett on the inside lane. But with that outside lane coming up there, I don't know if they're going to have a good shot at winning this race. It's going to take a lot of wild things to happen for those guys to have a chance at this victory. And we're closing in on the point of no return as well. If they cross the line here, that'll be it. If a caution comes out, that will, in fact, end the race. Josh Metallic continuing to lead in the number 6. We'll have to see if he can hold on here at Talladega.
Yeah, we'll see if that outside has anything for them. They kind of just stalled out there, kind of outside third place. They got to run to the outside Metallic, but ever since then, they've kind of stalled out. They're actually falling back a little bit right now.
And I'm not entirely sure what's exactly going on at the moment. Shadow just froze on me, but tell us what's going on here, Joe. Metallic's still leading in the 6.
Josh Metallic still out front. And it looks like that 39, or excuse me, the 43 Richard Martin now back. The front 3 are clear of him. Down to the inside, 77 Donnie Garrett trying to get by him. But still the front 3 clear with 39 Josh Metallic, Dave Little, Tim Nosker right behind them. Those 3 are clear. And side by side, 4th on back as they're coming to the tri-oval to see 4 laps to go.
Richard Martin now with Grant Wesley trying to work it outside lane, but they couldn't get it to work there that last time around. And now 3 laps to go for Josh Metallic. So now if you're Dave Little or Tim Nofsker, what do you do in this position? Do you wait until the last lap, or do you maybe try a little bit earlier on just in case the caution comes out early?
I think they're close enough to the front to where they can wait, but as I say
Nofsker's going to try something there in the 088 to the outside, and in fact 4 laps to go, 3 laps to go next time by. Richard Martin now with a little bit of help there as he's going to push Nofsker to the outside of Dave Little. What will Metallic do now in the 39? Will he stay to the inside or possibly move up to the outside lane?
I think with Metallic, he just has to hug that yellow line. He's seen that it's worked out for him so far. I don't think he can leave it unless something really big happens up top. You can see Nofsker getting to the outside here.
3 laps to go.
Oh,
Metallic, he got a bit of a bump there from Dave Little.
Oh,
and around goes Tim Nofsker. The race leader's involved. And Josh Metallic, he was able to save it. It's a huge wreck in the back. We're going to focus on this battle for the race lead. So race back to the line. I don't know if they race back officially or not, but this is it. Richard Martin out front in the 43. Grant Wesley, Hank Middleton, Martin blocking the number 2 of Hank Middleton, and here comes Joe Despirito as well in the 24. All these guys with huge runs coming to the caution flag. It's going to be the end of the race. Will Hank Middleton have a shot at the race victory?
I think
Richard
Martin's got it.
Holding on. Middleton is going to stay behind him. It'll be Richard Martin, or will it? Middleton may have a shot. He will not. Richard Martin wins the race back to the line as the caution flies here at Talladega. What a wild finish here to end this one in the 7th race of the season.
Yeah, we saw that big push on the inside. Got that 39 just a little bit loose. And tried to shoot middle of 3. Didn't work out.
And all started with Dave Little getting into Josh Metallic there. That opened the door for Little to move to the middle lane. And Metallic had to come back up, and that just messed everything up right there. But Richard Martin in the 43. How about that? I said he was a dark horse not that long ago. Well, it looks like he's going to be going the victory lane here. 9. Look, you finished 3rd. Grant Wesley going to remain the points leader, no doubt about it.
Yep.
In the 88. Definitely a great rebound after that accident. But speaking of accidents, oh my goodness. We had a big one. Once again, I saw cars flying through the air in the back there.
Over the catch fence, I mean.
A bit of a wild wreck here at the Talladega Super Speedway. I think Chuck McClure also got involved in the 17. He was midway through the pack once this. Oh my! Chuck McClure might just be the guy to focus on here for this one, and we will focus on Chuck McClure for this one.
There's good reason, yeah.
Yes. You see Nofsker go around there. He flies a little bit, and then right there, I don't know how that really happened. They just kind of carried him up in the air.
Physics broke.
And our 2003 physics for you. That was a wild one there. Oh my. Focus on the guy who actually stayed on the ground so we can actually see what happened to the rest of these guys here. We'll start off here. Josh Metallic in the 39, and it was a very, very tight situation there. Dave Little had a run, and you see Metallic there just get a little loose. He has to peek to the inside, and Little has the momentum to his outside. Metallic tries to come back up, and Little reacts, gets into Tim Knopfsker here. And around goes the 088 into Josh Metallic. Richard Martin, Grant Wesley, they're on the outside. If they keep it in the gas, they're going to clear the accident. And that's, in fact, what happened. But Tim Knopfsker going around. I think Donnie Garrett avoided it in the 77. Frank Rivard could not say the same. Neither could one of the deals. I think it was JR Deal there. And so Knopfsker also flew through the air. Same with David Lawson. Glenn Harris also upside down. Mark Paglia as well. Jeremy Jeffries caught up in this one. Alan Martin in the 5. I think he stopped to avoid. And then you see Chuck McClure come back down.
How about Terry Bombard making a great save? Just got around the outside of the crash and
we'll focus on Terry Bombard here and see how he maneuvered around this one. You see Knopfsker go around there. Joe DeSpirito avoid this one. And right there, it was, in fact, J.R. Deal was the first guy in that outside lane to get caught up, and he got caught up heavily, but Terry Bombard avoided it. Replay that one more time. That deserves another replay. That was, oh boy. I've seen Wild Rex here before in this game, and that might just be the wildest one I've seen.
You and me
both.
One
more time in real time. And Knopfsker had nothing he can do there when Dave Little came up. And it was all just a racing incident as well. It wasn't a matter of racing too hard either. Dave Little was trying to help out the 39 there and just got into him in the wrong angle. And that's the first time all night that we have seen the leaders get wrecked. And that created a wild finish. How about Hank Middleton finishing second? And, of course, how about Richard Martin taking home the race victory here tonight at Talladega? This was the battle back to the line, as you see on the replay, and Richard Martin able to pull out and take it away. Middleton had a shot, but he was the gentleman and stayed right behind him and finished second. But Richard Martin getting it done here at Talladega in the 7th race of the season in the RTG Talladega Challenge. And I believe they have officially crossed the line. Maybe not quite yet.
I believe they have.
You know what? I think you are right. They have officially crossed the line. Richard Martin, your race winner here at Talladega. What a win there for Richard Martin in the 43 there. You see Jeremy Jeffries congratulating him there. At least I think that's what he's doing. I mean, it's not like Richard Martin got into him in this race, I don't think.
Just helped him start his burnout.
But Richard Martin gets it done here at Talladega in a wild 7th race of the season. And he only led one lap. If I'm not mistaken, he led one lap here tonight. How about that for the 43 of Richard Martin?
That's all you need.
A great performance there out of Richard Martin in the 43. Burning it down there across the start-finish line. A massive win there for Richard Martin. His second of the season. Won at the 3rd race of the season. So he joins Joe DeSpirito as multi-time winners this season. He came into this race tied with Bernie Mobb, 63 points behind. I think he's going to be a little bit farther than that in the points standings after this one. Official results there on the top of your screen. We'll keep that up there for a little while, so you guys can see the official standings of the race. But how about that race, Joe? From start to finish, it was all over the place. We had that big wreck, and we saw Grant Wesley get involved in it, but he ended up finishing 3rd. He rebounded very well, but I think the big story of this race was that lap with 3 laps to go, or should I say that crash with 3 laps to go, and all those guys going up in the air and everything, and Richard Martin from the outside stealing the race victory away.
Yeah, you just never knew what was going to happen tonight. Obviously early in the race we thought Grant Wesley and Josh Metallica were work together and just stay up front the whole race. But then some pit strategy happened around 30 to go, 20 to go points, which shook up the running order. And obviously that big crash with Wesley being involved shook up the running order again. And then that last crash, hard racing, pack racing, trying to help each other, get people loose. You have to stay on the racetrack and just kind of caused a crash. They came together and Richard Martin got on top. It's the unpredictability of Talladega. We're used to seeing it. We saw it right here tonight.
We, in fact, did. And if that's you know, any sign of what we're going to see in real life this weekend, oh boy, watch out. But hopefully it's not like with Chuck McClure this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully we're
That's a
not
little
flinging
extreme.
them in the air.
But Richard Martin, your race winner, as you see the official standings there, scroll through. And how about that race? We'll get some guys in here to interview. I believe we interviewed the top three. Richard Martin, the race winner, Hank Middleton, Grant Wesley, Josh Metallic, Joe DeSpirito, the top five. Then Doug Woolley, Dave Little, Terry Bombard, considering where he was a majority of this race, still came on with a good finish there. And he's going to be still within this championship battle, no doubt about it. Winner of the fourth race this season. Donnie Garrett, Seth Hull, rounding out the top 10. And Bob Seminara, he was all over the place in this race. Ended up finishing 11th. Dave Melson, Ronald Lucey, Wayne Pribnow, Jim Gloud, Mike Rogers, Alan Martin, Jeremy Jeffries, Glenn Harris, and Bob Dixon. That was the top 20 finishers. And we got Seth Cole in here at the moment. And you had an up and down day for this race. Finished in the 10th position, but we were curious and we didn't exactly know what the field windows was, but we saw a lot of guys there around the fourth, fifth caution come down the pit lane. What exactly was the whole pit strategy there near the end of the race? And I don't believe that he's currently here right now. So we'll get back to Seth Cole in a moment. Hey, it happens in real life too when they interview the drivers, but still, either way, wild race. Richard Martin coming home with the race victory. A few guys did fail to finish here in this one. Of course, Tim Nosker was running in the second position when the accident happened and ended up retiring from the race, finishing 31st. J.R. Deal, Jessica Shelton, we actually didn't get to catch her accident there at the end. Andy Johnson, Jeff Crivello, Jason Scheck, Corey Deal, Perry Bond, Cy Jones, and Jack Dussault there, all knocked out of the race. But we'll eventually get the top three in here and interview the race winner, Hank Middleton, and then Grant Wesley as well. Of course, Richard Martin, the race winner here tonight at Talladega. But definitely interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. I mean, the points are definitely going to shake up. Of course, Grant Wesley's still going to be the points leader, but for a lot of those guys in the back, they're going to shuffle around again, and it's really hard to pinpoint an exact driver on winning this championship.
Absolutely. The unpredictability like we saw here tonight could happen any other race and shake up the point situation.
And Richard Martin in the number 43. How about that final green flag lap? You were running around the fourth position at the time, and then Tim Nosker got spun around by Dave Little, and then he had the clean racetrack out ahead. But what was going through your mind in those final few laps before the caution, before you took the checkered flag?
Oh man, how about that 43? That thing was running stout tonight. It took a while to get up to where I was, but man, once I got up towards the front, we were moving right along. Yeah, I mean, I thought we were, 2 by 2 there, and I was trying to get up there with Josh, and I thought it was going to come down between me and Josh, but boy, that wreck happened, and I almost didn't make it through. Then I had some good help, really good help at the end.
Yeah, and you were a driver who didn't necessarily run up front, and like with Grant Wesley and Josh Metallic, you didn't run up front with those guys as much, but you came through the field and you were right there at the end. Did a great job, but still, that wreck happened, and then you cruised on the outside, but then you also had to deal with Hank Middleton and Grant Wesley, who was the dominant guy of the race. I mean, what were you thinking there on that final lap with those guys behind you? Did you think, are they going to try to pass me? How am I going to figure this out? What was going through your mind there on that last lap after the wreck happened?
Well, Grant told me right away, straight up, he was staying with me, and then Hank told me the same thing, and so I owe both those guys tremendously for this one. They just gave me a lot of help when it was needed. I appreciated it.
Well, hey, definitely a great move out of those guys, and you guys put on such a great show here tonight. But I think that last lap was definitely the icing on the cake for this one. A great race here at Talladega, and congratulations, a huge victory, second of the season. That's going to help you up in the point standings here in the Talladega Challenge. Congratulations on your second win of the year here in the Talladega Challenge for RTG.
Thank you very much. Thank you to your network for putting the show on. Thank you to RTG, and man, thank you to Grant, and thank you Hank. I appreciate those guys pushing me at the end. RTG, I'd like to thank Terry and Bones and Josh for admitting on Thursday night, and Sean Prime, and whoever else was behind me pushing. I really appreciate it. It was a great run at the end. Like I said, I was lucky to get through that wreck, but I made it. We made it through there.
And he had a great one, no doubt about it there. Richard Martin, your race winner here in the 7th race of the season at Talladega. And Hank Middleton there finished in second. You were another guy a lot like Richard Martin, who kind of was in the back of the field. He did play a little strategy, get up front at some points, but ended up finishing second. Was the highest you ran all night long, and definitely a wild last lap right there when the wreck happened. Well, what was going through your mind when you saw those guys go around there with 3 laps to go?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy, guys. Josh did an excellent job saving his car, and to see all the usually the cars will come up and hit you on the bank, and the past couple of races have been that way for me, getting caught up in the big one. But it was crazy.
It definitely was, but it's still a great run for you there, running in the second position. Of course, you have to win a race this season, but definitely a great run for your team there. And Richard, definitely thank you for letting him kind of drive away with that race victory. But what was going through your mind there on that last lap there? Did you think, maybe I can have a shot at winning here, or did you just go ahead and let him take the race victory?
Me and Richard, we've raced together in the past. Great guy, good fair racer, clean racer, and I owe him a few from the past from helping me win. So I just stuck with him, and hey, just to have a good top five. I've had a rough season to the start, so just to have a good top five finish was good enough for me tonight for sure.
And especially after all that happened here tonight, you ran a nice clean race, and you all put on a great show. Definitely had a great one here tonight from Talladega. But Hank Middleton finishing second here tonight at the second, or should I say 7th race of the season in the RTG Talladega Challenge. A great run there, finishing behind Richard Martin in the second position. But congratulations on your great run, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you.
And Grant Wesley, and Grant, you were leading a majority of this race, and then the strategy came into play, and you were behind Jeff Crivello there, and then it all broke loose with the big one, but you ended up rebounding to third. Did you think that was going to happen after you got involved in a big accident?
I didn't think there was any chance I'd even finish in the top 10. That's one thing about super speedway racing. You never know what to predict, and you never know what kind of strategy to do. Some of those guys, we had that quick caution, and I thought maybe that might have been a pretty good strategy on their behalf, to kind of put themselves up front and hope for at least one more caution in the race, and they probably would have been good. But yeah, when that when the big one happened, I think I got hit 4 or 5 times and went down pit road and had 21 seconds of damage to repair, and got back out there, restarted 16th, and luckily for me, there's just enough cars with some damage kind of mixed throughout the pack. I kind of pick and chose my lines, and had some good help behind me. And then there at the end, Hank, I made that move to the outside lane behind DMAR, and Hank was pushing me. I mean, that's the only reason I was able to keep up. And then, of course, we had the final incident, and I knew I didn't have the speed to get around DMAR anyway, and he's a teammate of mine and good friend. So yeah, I told him I was going to stick with him, and glad to see Richard get the win there.
And of course, you guys put on a great show, and I think you were the guy that beat. I was looking at you being the guy to win, but once you got shuffled out of line, it was hard to tell who was going to get the race victory. But Richard Martin came out of nowhere there, and you helped him out, helped Hank Middleton out there, and you got through a 3rd place run. So congratulations on that great one. Great race all around for all you guys. Put on a great show, and good luck on the rest of the season, I should say. And congratulations on your podium finish here at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, tonight was definitely a good points run for me. I think I'll stretch the points lead out a little bit, which is going to be reset for the chase here in about 3 or 4 races, I think. I'd like to give a shout out to Donnie. We were in the me and him were racing heads up tonight in the bracket series, and I knew that was going to be a tough one. And he was in front of me there at the end before that final incident, and that was definitely a close race there between me and him.
Well, you definitely did a great job here tonight, all things considered, especially. And yes, you will, in fact, hold on to that points lead. Pulled away a little bit there from Terry Bombard. So definitely looks like you might be the guy to beat in this championship. We'll have to see how the rest of the season goes, but definitely a good start to the season for you here in the Talladega Challenge. But either way, good luck on the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us, and definitely put on a great show. We had a great night here from Talladega.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the broadcast.
And that will do it for the top 3, but we also have Seth Cole in here as well. And if I'm not mistaken, this was the first race you did this year for the Talladega Challenge. And you ended up finishing 10th, pretty good there, but I've seen you win races before. But what was your whole take on this race from your perspective?
I can probably honestly tell you, I've run Talladega so many times here on this sim, and this was maybe the most scared I was in a field because, I've done a couple broadcasts of their Talladega Challenge and watched them be able to hold 3 wide, several rows deep, and you just really don't know the sense of nervousness you get until you're out there in the middle of those guys. But I gotta tell you, just I've raced Talladega with a whole bunch of different groups, and the way that these guys are able to race it hard but race it clean is really amazing. To experience the setup personally as well, it actually was one of the best Talladega setups I think I've ever run. You could get runs on the inside, outside, middle. You were able to get big runs and move from the bottom to the top. It really was. It made things easier, to be honest, in terms of driving the car. It was just a matter of making sure you didn't run over somebody because the checkup is huge here. But, I didn't have high expectations coming into this race. I wanted this to just basically be a learning period because, as you said, this is the first start that I've made with these guys. But overall, I mean, I'm planning on running with these guys again next week. And, to be able to see what they're able to do from a third-person perspective compared with a first-person perspective, there's just nothing but respect for these guys and the way that they're able to race the way they do.
Definitely. You guys put on a good show. You played a little strategy there as well, made things interesting. We got some airtime for that FRN car, so definitely got the sponsor in, but definitely a great race all around. Great to have you in there. And, of course, thank you for letting me and Joe call this race here for RTG, and thank you for all you do here for Flatout Racing Network. We're same with Matt Rod as well. You guys put on a huge operation, and me and Joe are a small part of it, but we're glad to be part of it, and definitely bring you guys this racing here in Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge. We'll have more races for this series coming up in the future, I would imagine. Of course, I've done a few races for these guys, and just like Seth said, huge amount of respect for these guys and the way they race. They raced very cleanly, and of course, we had a lot of cautions, but hey, it's Talladega. It's bound to happen at some point, and it was a great race all around, and we had a lot of fun calling this one here tonight from Talladega. Richard Martin, your race winner in the 7th race of the season in the Talladega Challenge for RTG. And not entirely sure when the next broadcast is. You may know that, Seth?
Yes, next broadcast is going to be taking place in 2 weeks on Thursday, the 2nd of July. I believe we're getting close. I don't know if it's necessarily next week, but we're getting close to the regular season coming to a close, and then you guys will be getting the RTG playoffs every single Thursday. But we'll let you know next week when that's going to be starting.
And of course, you can check out here on the Flatout Racing Network. We have all kinds of broadcasts from Energy 3 to iRacing, especially here in RTG in the near future. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Final thoughts on this race, Joe, before we head away. Richard Martin, the race winner, and a lot of wild stuff happening here tonight at Talladega.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting to see those different grooves work. At the beginning, we thought maybe the middle would be the only groove that worked, but at the end, a lot of people were moving around the bottom. We saw the way outside work at some points, 3 wide. So overall, just a very, very fun race to watch and to commentate. And these guys put on a show and very, very talented at doing what they do. So appreciate that for sure.
Definitely a great one here tonight for the 7th race of the season in Talladega Challenge. Well, that will do it for us here from Flatout Racing Network. We thank you guys so much for watching. And once again, a huge thanks to Seth Cole for letting me and Joe call this race. And a huge thanks to all the guys at RTG for putting on such a great series for us to broadcast here on the Flatout Racing Network. Richard Martin, your race winner here at Talladega. And we'll see you guys 2 weeks from now for the 9th race of the season here in the Talladega Challenge. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Joe Rakowski, Seth Cole, I'm Alexander Graham, a.k.a. Napa Fan, and I will see you guys later.